Alright, here's your 12th video, and this video will be about repeat and while loops, and these are ways to do something looped. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, let's get to it, bucko. So, let's say you want to get a part, and it's, a bit big, like this big, and it's green, and it's nice and hot green, smexy green, and you want to change the transparency of this over time into 1. So over time, make it transparent, invisible, like a smooth transition. And we've talked about for loops where it does something a certain amount of times. However, that may not be the case you want to go for, or what you want to do. I mean, maybe you're kind of bipolar, and you keep switching from loop to loop, and this time, instead of using the for loop, you feel like using a while loop because your girlfriend always used the for loop, and you don't want to do shit her way, so you're gonna do it your own way and use a while loop. So this while loop is going to be called Joe. I'm just kidding, they don't get names. Okay, so first of all, we get the part. So part equals workspace. Shiz, have I taught you this? Probably not. So for workspace, usually you go game dot workspace, but when it comes to workspace, you don't need to do that. You don't need to put game, and you don't need to put a dot. And you don't need to capitalize this because it's not worth it. Maybe it's worth it just to put a W. I'm not sure why this works, but it does. Yeah. So you just write workspace and that just gets that. I don't know why, but I saw it in the script and I was like, ooh, cool. I'm going to try that. So I did, and it worked. So that's the part, the workspaces part. You can't do that for lighting, so I'm not really sure what this even is, but yeah, just for the little workspace boy. Anyways, while part dot transparency is less than 1, then you don't even do what you need to do. So while the part's transparency is less than 1, and it's going to start off at 0, we're going to increase it. So part.transparency is equal to itself plus 0.01. And then we're going to put a wait. And again, if you, listen to me when I talked about the weight, I don't know which video it is, but this is default wait time, so probably like 0.001 or 0.01, I don't know, whatever you have it set at. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then, well, stop skipping videos, you dumbass. Okay, so the first time this goes around, since the part's transparency is 0, so while it's less than 1, which it is, it's going to do the part's transparency is equal to 0, because at this time it's 0, plus 0.1. So it's going to, I said 0.1, it's 0.01. So plus 0.01. So it's going to become 0.01. It's going to go through, then go back up. The part's transparency is 0.01, so it's still less than 1. So it's going to go through again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And once this condition is finally met, once this condition is finally not met, and that it's false, then it's going to go on down here. So we can do print done. So whenever this loop is done, it's going to print done. So go ahead and click run. Done, baby. Say that's a while loop for you. Go ahead, experiment around. See if you can make a duck and make your duck invisible. And by that, I mean, I don't know. So that's a while loop. Now for loop, I've already explained, so I meant to say repeat. So a repeat loop is kind of like this. Repeat until so we're gonna go through and do this loop, and when it's done, we're gonna make it back to being visible. So when it gets to this spot, it's going to repeat this until this condition is met. So currently this condition is false. If we're trying to get it to 0, you can do equal or greater than 0. So at this point in time, the parse transparency is 1. So we're going to change. So every time it goes through this loop, we're going to subtract 0.01. So it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And when it finally becomes less than or equal to 0, or we can honestly just write equal to 0, then it will stop. So it will print visible again once it is back to 0. Yes, let's go. So it comes back. Oh no. Yeah, I don't know why this shit happens, but I guess you kinda gotta do this. So we know it's supposed to get to 0. So like, it goes up and up and up. And it goes back down, 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 and it should honestly hit 0. But for whatever goddamn reason, it doesn't. It just passes by. So I'm not really sure what the hell happens. So we can do whenever the parse transparency is less than or equal to 0. So in case the loop, passes 0 and it gets to like negative 0.1 instead of 0, then it will end it anyways. If that makes sense. So it's going through. It's at 1 at this point, and then it goes lower down. So 1, 0.5, 0.1, 0.01, and then it hits 0. But for some reason, the loop is going so fast, it doesn't notice that it hits 0. I'm not sure why this happens. Don't ask me. Ask Roblox. They are the dumb ones. So just in case it doesn't catch that it's 0, we're going to put a little less than. So in case it goes negative, it's going to stop it. If that makes any sense to you? It barely makes sense to me because I don't understand why it never equals 0. So there we go. Now it's visible again. See, transparency is negative 0.01. So that means it should have hit 0 at some point. So I'm not sure why the fuck this happens. It's dumb. So yeah, there you go. There's your repeat and while. So another thing I should explain. If you have a while loop in this condition, like say it's already 1. So while the parse transparency is less than 1, well, that's false already. Because the transparency is not less than 1. So this condition is false. So it's not even gonna do the first loop. It's not gonna do any loops. It's just gonna skip this. It won't do it at all. But for this thing, it's gonna do this and then check the condition. So let's say the part is like -1, even though I don't think a negative number does anything. It doesn't. But let's say for some reason it's -1. So it says repeat. So it's gonna change it by, it's gonna like decrease it, and then it hits the until, and it's like, it's less than or equal to 0. So let's just stop the loop. So basically the while loop, if the condition is met, then it won't even do a single interval of the loop. But this thing, it will always do at least one interval, no matter what. So yeah, there you go. Be happy. Go on to my next video. Thank you.